Covering news where you live. This is 5 News.
Well, thank you for joining us here for the latest news and weather where you live. I'm Joe Ellison.
And I'm Tiffany Lee. 2 people have started a petition to change part of a new ordinance in Fort Smith. It fines people for feeding or watering stray animals. Amber Neal, an animal advocate, thinks the ordinance is well-meaning but doesn't fit with the city's stray animal issue.
Mary McKinney from the Artemis Project says she agrees, saying it unfairly targets people trying to help when the city can't handle the strays.
In those situations, it's really inhumane to expect, community members to not take care of those animals until they produce an outcome for them.
Several animals that are in need will not come up to eat or drink water while a person is present. So while I understand why this ordinance was enacted originally, I think we have some undesired consequences from that ordinance. And now there is a public fear that people will be ticketed by trying to do the right thing.
Right now, that petition has more than 700 signatures.
We reached out to the city to hear what they had to say. They referred us to a statement they gave in an earlier report, saying in the event that the animal shelter cannot take the stray animal due to capacity limits, the Animal Services Unit will work diligently to ensure the stray animal is cared for. Well, local pharmacists say they're still dealing with a nationwide shortage of the drugs used to treat ADHD.
The shortage continues to be a major issue for both pharmacies and patients all across the area. Chrissy Stallings-Julian, pharmacist at Medisave in Fort Smith, says the shortage continues to be a major issue for pharmacies and patients in 5 countries. She says when Medisave can't give a patient their prescription due to the shortage, they discuss other options. But some of the alternative medicines are now in short supply as well.
She says with school starting, they do their best to keep their medicines in stock for children who need them. But in recent years, along with a shortage of ingredients and restrictions on the manufacturers that make these drugs, the demand of prescriptions has skyrocketed, especially in adults.
Julian says for this to get better, she thinks the DEA is going to have to allow manufacturers to make more of these stimulant medications to meet the increase in demand. But she says the regulations are there for a reason because these are addictive and can be abused. For now, she encourages patients who are having trouble getting their prescriptions to call their doctor and talk about alternative treatment options.
Well, looking ahead, an e-bike rebate soon will take effect across Arkansas to make these bikes more accessible and affordable for people to purchase. Trailblazers is heading the development of the rebate with the help of a grant from the EPA.
The goal is to promote e-bikes as an easier way of transportation for those in Northwest Arkansas and Fort Smith. The director of outreach for the Trailblazers explains why this is so important for these areas.
It's going to help us get more e-bikes, more sales, more incentivize more people buying e-bikes, and so which could help local economy, especially with the program being a $7 million program, and the consumer, getting more people out utilizing e-bikes. E-bikes lowers the barrier of access for people that might not feel comfortable riding a bike.
He says there is not a date yet as to when the rebate will be in effect, as they are still in the early development of the project. We'll get to more of today's top stories in just a bit.
Yeah, but first let's send things over to Zach to get a look at the forecast this week. Hey, Zach.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Tiff. Well, the heat that built in over the weekend, that heat is still sticking around. We've got highs today in the low to mid 90s across Northwest Arkansas. Will actually be up to around 94 degrees. You got it there. It's hot. It's sunny. Air's not even moving around as much as it was for the weekend. Winds only about 5 to 10 miles per hour today. So the air a little more stagnant outside. Highs in the mid 90s, widespread around 96 degrees in the River Valley. You factor in the mugginess. I actually think we'll be 100 to 103 in the River Valley. I think we'll see feels like temperatures mostly in the upper 90s up to around 100 degrees this afternoon. We're hot, we're humid Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Could be even a little muggier by Thursday, where maybe we need some heat alerts, some heat advisories coming back. Feels like temperatures over 105, a little higher chance there, but that's just ahead, ladies, of our next big cool down, which will come with a cold front on Friday. Will be cooler with some rain chances into the holiday weekend.
All right, thank you, Zach. We're ready for that. Well, right now, rental home hosts at Beaver Lake are having issues with guests upset because they aren't allowed to use private docks near the home.
5 News reporter Parker Abels explains why this rule is in place and why many Beaver Lake homeowners agree.
The Army Corps of Engineers has a strict policy at Beaver Lake prohibiting any guests to use private docks.
Title 36 Code of Federal Regulations says that a private boat dock can't conduct commercial activities.
And one owner at Beaver Lake explains why the Corps is so strict on this rule.
It's kind of like if you lent your car to someone because you trusted them. You trust them. You lend your car to them. But what if they said, okay, I'm going to lend that car that you lent me to someone else? You can't just go lending it to someone else and then more and more people.
This rule is permanent with no exceptions, and if you break it, there will be consequences.
So there are no exceptions, and everybody with a private boat dock permit from the Army Corps of Engineers, this applies to them. It applies to their permit with us. It states it explicitly that they cannot do this, and if they're in violation several times, it's possible they could have their boat dock revoked on Beaver Reservoir.
Townsend says you do not want to lose your slip.
Those boat docks on Beaver Lake, we're not allowing any more slips or any new boat docks, and so if you were to lose your boat dock, you're not going to get it back.
Bill Horton owns a house on Beaver Lake and was upset with this rule. That was until he met face-to-face with the Corps.
When we first purchased a home with a dock, we were upset that we couldn't rent it out to VRBO, and I had a meeting with the Corps, and after learning that the Beaver Lake is really a community lake that belongs to everyone, it made sense that we can't use it for a commercial purpose simply because we have a dock there. It made sense from a safety standpoint that people shouldn't be running private commercial docks, like 1,700 of them on the lake.
However, Horton says they do have a legal way of allowing their guests to keep their boats close.
Compromise to that is they allow shore parking. So we have a 4x4 post in our yard. You can back up, or pull your boat into our backyard, tie up, and it's no different than using our slip.
Out of courtesy for renters, homeowner Elizabeth Malatesta says make sure you tell your guests this restriction before they rent your house.
You have to let the people know that are going to rent your property that the dock does not come with it.
At Beaver Lake, covering news where you live, Parker Abels, 5 News.
Thanks so much for joining us on this Monday.
Catch up with us again tomorrow right here for more. Have a great day.